If I were to tell you that the crypto market is being manipulated like crazy, would you believe me? I personally guess nearly every single person watching this space knows that a lot of the moves don't really make a lot of sense. I mean, what we've seen recently, German government, US government, Mt. Gox, all of those dumping at the same time. Mt. Gox is starting to dump, next week or in 2 weeks or so? The German government has been increasing their Bitcoin sales, and all of a sudden, the US government was feeling a little bit left behind and also decided to sell a little bit earlier. And I think you all remember the dump of a few days ago, right? All of that was supposedly because of Mt. Gox. But what if I were to tell you, and no, not the whole video here is going to be about speculatory pieces, but what if I were to tell you that a lot more of what's happening here is probably a lot more explainable than you might realize. Anyway, DeFi Squared shared, since the local Bitcoin lows on Friday, almost the entire bounce over the entire weekend and the next few days is from a single entity on Binance Perpetuals that has hammered over $450 million in buys in 500 BTC blocks at a time during the lowest liquidity hours of the market. Curious what the end game is right before the start of the Mt. Gox distribution with a position of that size. In order to exit, they'll either need to run the market high enough to cause a short squeeze or end up becoming a massive cascade risk if the market goes against them. With Ansem having one of the most classical responses being, maybe he just wants to make $2 billion in a year, seems logical enough to me. Because one thing that many people fail to realize is that manipulation, for the most part here, just means people finding some creative ways to take the money from you and give it to themselves. However, if we extrapolate, for the most part, if you're playing the game, following their rules, and you're not trying to be too smart, very often it just works out. And with crypto, we've stated, if you just keep on buying, things will probably be fine over the next few months. It's only if you think, or at least are thinking of being a hero for the next few days, and you go with a trade with too much risk, that things usually, or at least might end up being stupid or wrong. And that's why it's, in my opinion, crucial to orient yourself almost every single day. You can skip a few, but orient yourself on the moves that some of the bigger crypto projects are making to kind of spot what the next big trends are going to be. For example, the last few days here, or specifically, I guess, starting today, Polkadot had a lot of attention over on Twitter because of their massive ad campaign that got, I guess, published. Apparently, they paid people crazy sums of money to talk about it, but often it does not showcase itself in that direct of a manner, with everybody on Twitter talking about it. Very often, you have to look a little bit back to, for example, the end of the previous run. Take a look at, how the projects were performing or what the sentiment was like. And there's one more project in that nature. And one of the ones I used to be really big on that has now gone kind of quiet, I personally think is gearing up for a lot of bigger moves. And I'll probably be making more videos of this nature. And actually, the reason I'm bringing it up now is because I want to do a series of some bigger videos talking about full-on projects that I'm still excited about, or that I know the team quite well of, that I know are making some big steps. But specifically, I was unfortunately not able to go to their event, but I think it's a crucial part. Anyway, so one of those projects is Algorand. Everybody probably knows it. And they just had themselves a massive Decipher event over in Barcelona. And if I'm being honest with you, there's two things I'll say about it. One is, pay close attention to projects that are actually putting their foot in the door and getting events out there, especially when the market's not too gloomy. Like right now, it's July here. At that point, it's the end of June. The market's been bearish for multiple months. They didn't cancel the event. They actually went through with it. And for a project of this size, because Algorand is one of the most massive projects out there, that's a tough pill to swallow, because when the market drops, so does everybody's excitement, right? But the fact they went through with it and made it a success, to me, it's just absolutely massive. Makes me personally quite excited. And point number two is for all the people that are newer to crypto that don't fully have not fully found their way yet. Even though for really experienced crypto people, it's still a nice place to connect. For people newer to crypto, I can always recommend just visiting an event or two. I have visited many events throughout the last few years, And I'll say that the most important fundamental pieces can be learned over there, but also it's about the connections you make. And you go from whatever you at, a couple layers upwards, but just meeting people, talking to people. And so whenever you get the chance and you see that something's close and it falls within price range, I'd always say check it out. But anyway, a lot of cool stuff about Algorand is coming out in a little bit. And let me know down below what other cryptos you'd like me to make a video on, because there's a couple ones in this list that I think deserve some special attention, because even though the market's not been treating them in a crazy bullish way, I do believe that time will still come. Again, the cycle is Bitcoin first, Ethereum next, massive altcoins like a Solana, an XRP, an Algorand, as an example, will come afterwards, and so on and on to smaller and smaller coins. Anyway, talking about some of the more recent news and things that have happened, one thing that's quite peculiar to me is just how successful stablecoins have become. I noticed in one of my previous videos there was a lot of skepticism and questions about things like the USDT and how it was going to look for the next few months as stablecoin rules would enter Europe with the MiCA bill and a lot of restrictions were to come up. But honestly, I think it's less of an issue than many people think, because first of all, USDC, if you look at the bottom right here, Circle has secured themselves a proper license. And so some Circle related coins will still be around. It'll all be fine. But also things like PayPal stablecoin are picking up. And I honestly think that by the time it might become an issue, it'll still be fixed in some way, shape, or form. It's just a matter of bureaucracy, right? It's just about getting the right piece of paper, which some big issuers will get. And so yes, it's going to be a little bit of the battle of the strongest, but crypto survived many things, and it'll survive as well, regardless of what many people like to spread FUD around. There's another fun video I saw just now. There's a guy, if you remember, back in 2013, he made a video saying, hey, this is what the Bitcoin price is at right now, it just passed $100. And then a few years later, he made a video that says, hey, you guys are asking, did I hodl? Of course I hodled and I bought more. Only point I want to make right there is, seriously, like I said at the start of the video, even though I'm not your financial advisor, I personally believe if you just keep on buying, you'll realize that things will get significantly better given time. I know there's a lot of FUD around. I know you look at an announcement makes things scary, or you're like, what to think of it. Ultimately, all this figures itself out. I personally see it as all part of the process. Man, especially when I look back at some of the screenshots, when I look back at some of the documents or news pieces I shared throughout the days. Man, looking at this, real talk, I don't know how you could argue against it. It's just a matter of waiting it out. Even Sony and stuff like that, they're coming in. Not because they think it's a funny space, because they know there's money to be made. And they know that this space is only going to keep growing. It's just a matter of having the balls and the time, if you don't got balls, to wait it out. Soon enough also, the time will come when altcoins have to be picked. And again, I'm thinking of doing a whole series covering some of my most exciting altcoins, or some of the ones I've got my biggest bags into from either the previous run that I've not liquidated. I'm holding for a very good reason. If you guys got suggestions about which coins you'd like to see, let me know. Be careful though, there are many scammers in the comment section and it's nearly impossible to beat. But the next few months are going to be an exciting time, guys. Usually, this is a good quarter. At least that's what I've been told. I'd say that usually, right? It's usually kind of hard to say when it comes to Bitcoin, because when taking a look, it seems like there's not really any truth to it. The average, though, is plus 5.86%, but usually the last quarter is where things get crazy again. And yeah, all the three are kind of shit. It's mostly just the last one that things get massive. But obviously, since that's like 3 months away from now, that means, theoretically speaking, we've just got ourselves some time to prepare now before things get absolutely massive. Yeah, if that's the case, well, then looking at it, we've had ourselves, I think there's 2 worse months, right? There's June, which is a negative, and then there's September, which is a negative every single time, and December, arguably so as well. But generally speaking, July has been quite good. August has been mediocre. And then back in October, November are amazing months. If we look at it from that perspective, we've got some good times ahead, and I'm excited for it. But yeah, that's about it for right now.